wait for too long. So this is Derek Christian with the Institute for Service Excellence. I also own My Maid Service. We've got offices here in Cincinnati and also in Dallas, Texas. Been in the industry for about 20 years, although previously I worked for Procter & Gamble selling cleaning products and cleaning supplies to the industry. Only bought My Maid Service about 5.5 years ago. But since then, I've grown it to 2 offices, each of which are over $1 million, so it's been a lot of fun. This is part of a series that we're doing called Tools of the Trade, and the idea is we get lots of questions of what do you use for this, what do you use for that, and we decided to just do a series where we go through and talk about our favorite technology and software platforms. So far, we did Home Advisor and Constant Contact. And when we did Constant Contact, we talked about how if you generate all these clients and leads, you're going to want to have some way to manage it. And that's what we're moving into today with Infusionsoft, which is Customer Lifecycle Management. I personally use Infusionsoft in both offices, and there's about 8 to 10 other residential cleaning services that have begun using this application in the last year or so. And there's one company I know who's been using it for almost 3 years now, and he's the one who recruited me, but I'm not sure he wants me to out him to the world, so I'm not going to give it away. But Infusionsoft, I don't know what they call themselves because it's a little bit hard to refer to them, but I think of it as Customer Lifecycle Management. And to me, your relationship with a customer goes from the first time they see an advertisement with you to the day that they stop using your service in one way, shape, or another, whether that is they move away, they terminate service, or whatever. And Infusionsoft kind of helps you manage that entire relationship. So today's agenda, the welcome which we just did, for anyone who is new on here and didn't hear what we mentioned at the beginning, all of our calls are recorded and you can catch it later on. They are also muted because we don't like background noise, we don't like getting phones in the background. There is a chat feature. If you put your mouse cursor right over the middle half of the screen, a box will drop down and press chat. If at any point you have a question, send a chat in. Cece will either save it for later because if she knows if I'm covering it later in the presentation, or she will break in and interrupt me and let me know. If we do have time at the end, we will unmute for questions, but I can't promise that, so do send in those chat questions. We're going to answer what Infusionsoft is. I'm going to show you some examples from our industry. We're going to do final question and answer, and then we do one of these calls every single month. We're going to give you a preview of what's coming for the next 2 months. So this is a diagram I took from Infusionsoft, and this is what they call their perfect customer life cycle. And this kind of helps you understand what the application helps you do. It's all about attracting the clients into your website or other mechanism, capturing the leads. You want to nurture those prospects in the relationship with them, teach them about your company, stay in contact with them, with the goal of eventually converting them to sales. And if you've listened to a lot of the marketing lectures I've given over time, one of the new concepts in marketing now is to lead with value, to give away information, to show clients how good you are. Not just tell them how good you are, show them how good you are. And that's all about this nurturing prospects and teaching them about your company, giving them tips and tricks, keeping them up to date. You, of course, want to convert them to sales, but just as important, you want to make sure they're happy. You want to upsell them, and then in the world of internet, you got to get referrals. If you don't have the referrals online, all sorts of bad things start happening to you, and then you also have the option for them to refer other people to you. So another way to look at that, and people are more traditional used to seeing, is the sales funnel, where you have leads come in, sales calls and follow-up, where you try to convert people into your business and you eventually sell them. And I like to think of the funnel as a leaky funnel because you have these different traffic sources that come in and your prospects that go in the funnel, and out the bottom comes out customers. The problem is, and we probably all do this, is we have really good intentions. In my office, I have this sign-off sheet where when a lead calls in, we are supposed to call them 3 times, email them 4 times, and send them a thank you note. But what typically happens, especially in our busy season when the phone is ringing the most, is we don't do that. And I was getting very, very frustrated because it's not uncommon for us to get 8 to 10 leads a day sometimes in the busy season. And I would go back to our quote book where we kept all this stuff in paper at the end of the month, and there'd be anywhere from 80 to 100 quotes in there that or I shouldn't even say quotes, quote requests, people that filled out a form on our website or left a voicemail overnight saying, hey, I would like to use your service, and we never talked to them. That's a lot of potentially lost leads. And when I looked at it, we would call them back always once. My people never missed the first call, but maybe twice, almost never the third time, and we almost never got to the final step of sending them the handwritten note in the mail. Because when you're busy and the phone's ringing, you're just dealing with the person you get on the phone. You pick it up, someone wants a quote, you book them, you put them in the software, and you're happy. You forget about the two people which left a message last night because you're dealing with the person who's in front of you, and all sorts of leads leak out of this system. So that is basically, in a nutshell, sort of what Infusionsoft does. And the easiest way for me to explain this is to actually show you an application. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually go into my version of Infusionsoft so you can see what it looks like. And I'm going to start with a specific customer because to me that's the easiest way to look at it. And this is a customer, actual customer, who has actually booked service with me, and she actually got quoted today. So this is actually pretty active in my system and booked today. Now, she's not shown as being booked yet because they're still putting all the stuff into the computer, but I can guarantee you she booked. I listened to the call. So to kind of explain at a very top level what I'm looking at, this is a customer record. And what I love about Infusionsoft is a couple different things. First, I can see where she came from. So this says that she filled out a quote request on my website. So this woman on March 22nd filled out a quote request on our website asking us to quote her for service. We then sent her on the 22nd an email that said, thank you so very much for requesting a quote, and she opened that email. We sent her 2 days later another thing that said, hey, you know, you requested a quote, you haven't called us yet, and she opened that one. And we finally, on the last day, sent on the 29th, a week later, sent her a cleaning quote online email that basically says, hey, listen, you haven't called our office. We'd like to do our quotes over the phone, but at this point we're desperate. Here's a form. Fill out the information, and we'll quote you via email. So these first two were emails saying, call our office and we'll give you a quote. This last one was saying, listen, you haven't called our office. Fill out this form, and we'll give you an email quote. We also created activities for my people. You can see on here that on the 22nd, it was assigned to someone in my office to call her. On the 23rd, it was assigned to somebody in my office to call her a second time. On the 25th, we sent her a postcard, and on the 26th, we created a final call. So remember how I talked about how we're supposed to email them 3 times and call them 4 times? Well, instead of my traditional system where this was all done via software or on paper, Infusionsoft automatically did this. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So what this nice woman did is she went to my website and filled out a form. And this form, I will show you in a minute, is actually created within the Infusionsoft system. But you guys probably all have a form that looks a lot like this on your website. It's basically name, address, phone number, some basic information of what type of frequency you want, and a button that says, give me a quote now. So she filled out that form online. So that's what this record tells me. Infusionsoft instantly sent her an email that said, thank you so very much for the quote, and instantly created an activity for someone in my office, in this case it's my salesperson April Scott, to call her back. Now, I know we didn't quote her then because if we quoted her, the software would have stopped making activities, but because she didn't get a quote yet, we created a second activity for April to call her, a third activity for April to call her, a fourth activity for April to call her, and we automatically sent all these emails. So instead of me having to count on the people in my office behaving and doing what they're supposed to do and not getting distracted, all of these activities were automatically created. So as the owner of the company, I can go into a dashboard and see, are these follow-up calls being made? If they're not being made, maybe April's out today, which she actually is, I know that something's gone wrong and can intervene, assign it to somebody else in the company, make the calls myself. And what's so different than this versus other applications, we showed you Constant Contact last time, and Constant Contact's great because I can go look at like when I send an email and see who read it, but Constant Contact doesn't pull it all back to the customer. So I'm looking at one person's thing here, and I'm able to see that she got 3 emails from me, and she opened every single one of them. That is a very good sign. She's not just erasing them or marking them as spam. And this is somebody that I want you to realize we called 4 times. Okay, 4 times I called this lady, never reached her. We emailed her 2 times, she never called us. We finally, after a 3rd email that said, please, for the love of God, just tell us how big your house is and we'll give you a quote, she did it. We quoted her and booked her. So that's exactly what Infusionsoft is about, because in my old system, I would have never gotten this person. We would have maybe called her twice and complained and said, God, web leads suck. I don't know why people fill out a form on our website and they never actually call us back. What's with these people? I don't understand. And I hear that all the time where people will say, you know, web leads are terrible. People fill out a form on your website and you can never get in touch with them. Well, guess what? You can. You just have to have a process and a system to do it over and over again. So I'm now going to kind of show you how that actually works. And Infusionsoft has a lot of capability, and it can kind of make your brain blow up. So I'm just going to dive right in and kind of show you. This is a new process I created, so there's not a lot in here, but this will kind of help you understand all that stuff I just talked about. So it's always on live when your software loads slow, isn't it? There we go. And it's still loading pictures. So basically what I have here is, oh, now it's reloading. Sorry. What I'm loading here is what's called the Campaign Builder. And Campaign Builder, for me, is the guts of Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft does lots of other great things. They've got integrations to social media. They've got affiliate programs. But this, to me, is the gut of it. And what I have is different lead sources. So leads for me can come through organic search, Service Magic leads, direct mail, live events, or my website. And basically, there's 2 ways that someone starts a quote request in my office. Either they call or they fill out a form online. Okay? Now, when I double-click on this little thing for filling out the form online, it's going to pull up that form, and there's basically a little form builder. And that Infusionsoft form, which you saw on my website, was actually created in my form builder. And you go in here, you pick the drag and drop of what you want for the form, and you drop it in. And like I said, it's always when I'm doing one of these calls that my internet service decides that it wants to be super slow. All right. Well, Infusionsoft is being moody. I'm going to cheat and jump to a pre-created one. So I'm hoping my internet service speeds up here in a minute. But this is sort of what Infusionsoft looks like when you build it. Now, this isn't out of my soft application. This is out of another cleaning services application. But she's got different ways that leads come in. People can request a consumer information guide on their website. They can request a quote, and then she's got the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd attempt to reach someone. So that's her capture process. Then she's got this whole nurture relationship where she calls you and gives you a quote, and she either quotes you for move-out service, one-time service, or regular service. At that point, you either quote and you move down here in the process, or she puts you into a nurture campaign where she tries to keep in touch with you. And if you do quote, get scheduled for regular service, she automatically sends out reminders in the Infusionsoft application. There is a sequence once you sign up for new clients where what happens is you get your new client information packet, you know, agreements, information on the company sent to you. And then all the way to when you cancel service, you either get put on a list where you get automatic emails to come back automatically, or you leave them the heck alone is how she's labeled it. Now, I'm going to dive in and show you each of these things. So each of these little boxes here has activities in it. So for somebody who requests a regular quote, what happens is they get a welcome email with a quote that says, thank you so very much, here's your quote. Infusionsoft waits 2 days. And if after 2 days that person is not called back and scheduled an appointment, it creates a follow-up call for somebody in the office to call and say, hey, just wanted to make sure you got the quote. How did everything turn out? Infusionsoft then waits 3 days, and if they still haven't heard back from the client, sends them a thank you card in the mail that says, hey, thank you so very much for letting us give you a quote. Please give us a call to start service. We wait another week, so now it's 2 weeks after we gave them a quote. If 2 weeks later they still haven't scheduled, we're going to send them an automated email with a $50 off coupon that says, hey, you know, just wanted to remind you about your quote, and we're running a special. Here's a $50 off coupon. So here's something a little bit different. She's not throwing the $50 off right away. She's only offering that $50 bonus to people who didn't quote right away 2 weeks down the road. 2 weeks later, If she still hasn't heard from them, she has a final email that she sends to them, which is 9 signs of a good cleaning service. Because at this point, we're assuming 4 weeks after the quote, you probably went with somebody else. So she's sending you an information packet that basically says, hey, you know, whether you go with us or someone else, here's 9 things you should look for in your cleaning service. And hint, hint, by the way, maybe ask the cleaning service you're using whether or not they do all of these things. Now, her nurture campaign, okay, if you go through all of this and you still haven't quoted service or still haven't actually booked service, she dumps you into her nurture campaign. So remember, that whole campaign went about 4 weeks. So 3 weeks later, 1 month later, she applies a tag to your record. And what a tag is it's basically putting some information on there. And that tag basically says quoted but didn't book. So she knows that she quoted that person but never booked them. And then they wait 1 more week, and on a weekday at 8 a.m., send them a testimonial mailing. They are going to get something in the mail that talks about how fantastic Infusionsoft is. So this testimonial mailing will, or not Infusionsoft, how great their service is. So they're going to get something in the mail that says, you know, my maid service is the most fantastic company in the world that I have ever used. You may want to consider using them as well. 3 months later, so now we are 4 or 5 months after they got the quote, we're doing a follow-up call. And the reason why is that first 3 to 4 months with a cleaning service, as we all know from experience, is a very iffy time. You don't have any goodwill built up with the client. So if you've been cleaning someone for a year and your tech is sick and you need to cancel, probably going to forgive you. But if it's your 3rd visit and your tech is sick and you need to reschedule or send someone else, they don't have a lot of goodwill built up with you, so they'll probably cancel service. So what she's doing is contacting people 3 to 4 months after a quote and basically checking in. Hey, how are things going? Did you choose another cleaning service? Or are you just waiting? Maybe now you're ready. If you chose another cleaning service, are you happy? Can we help you? She waits another 3 months and sends an offer postcard to those clients in the mail saying, you know, it's been 6 months, here's a 100% off coupon. And then waits 3 more months and sends them an email that says, it is now 11 months after we gave you your initial quote. It's going to expire in 1 more month. Do you want to book service now or not? And each of these things you see kicks off various automated activities. And as you can imagine, we probably all would love to actually do all this stuff, but we get so busy. We're business owners. Our phones are ringing. Our cleaners have a vacuum who breaks, so we've got to go run out into the field and drop off a vacuum. So those 3 things I really meant to do today don't get done. And then I feel stupid calling the person because I'm 3 days late of when I was supposed to. So at a top line, that's how Infusionsoft works. So I'm going to go back to my application, which is still loading. That's not good. Infusionsoft normally works just fine, guys. This is probably my internet connection that's being moody. I've got the bandwidth of running the webinar while at the same time trying to run Infusionsoft, and it's probably dragging it down a little bit. Here in Cincinnati, we have Cincinnati Bell. We're probably the only city in America that still has its own independent bell company, and as a result, they're not always the quickest in the world to do things. So, all right, now it's actually cooperating a little bit better. So any questions so far? I've talked a whole lot here. I don't want to bore you guys with the details while we're still talking.
I think folks are still kind of getting used to the ideas that you're throwing out because I haven't gotten anything through chat yet.
Okay. Well, let me show you exactly what this looks like because I was talking really quick there, and when I was talking really quick, I can potentially lose folks. So I'm going to try to actually see if the software is going to cooperate and let me open it up and drag it around. But all of these little things I'm showing you within the Infusionsoft application, I can simply drag and drop and create these campaigns that I'm showing you. And like I said, it always has to be moody when I'm trying to do it. So here, let me try something new. This is a campaign that's live right now. This is actually literally running with people in it. So I'm going to, instead of trying to modify an existing one because that could cause a potential goof up in my system, I'm going to create a fake one for us real quick just so you can see how it works. All right. All right, this is a campaign that I'm not using right now, so this one I can probably play with a little easier. I was attempting to build a campaign for what happens if somebody attempts to cancel service. So somebody calls my office and says, I'm terminating service, I'm not happy with you. Not very good thing to happen to me, not something I'm real excited about, but I'm going to want to come in here and try to modify it and show people that I want to try to get them back on, that I want to try to fix the problem. And it's loading slowly again. Why does this always happen to us on webinars, CC? My technology always behaves very well until I'm live in front of everyone. I managed to crash Constant Contact last time, and I don't think I've ever crashed Constant Contact in my life.
Well, I think it may know that you still have a non-smartphone, too.
Yeah. She gives me a hard time because I don't use a smartphone. All right, well, I'm hoping Infusionsoft will actually cooperate, but if not, I can still get the point across with some of the screenshots. So one of the things that we're doing, there are about 8 to 10 of us in the residential cleaning industry using Infusionsoft right now, and we've created a group for ourselves that we're calling the Infusionsoft Warriors. And basically, it's non-compete businesses, so if you're in a territory where one of us is already, you're probably not going to be invited to the party, but we do a biweekly webinar hosted by ISE. And what we do is we get together and share best practices, costs, and ideas, and we work to develop these campaigns hands-on on the call, which is great because when you get 9 people sharing ideas on a call, you come up with ideas you would never have. We also, for new people that join, all of these campaigns that I just showed, I mean, when you look at this, this is relatively complicated, has lots of details. This probably took someone 10 to 15 hours worth of labor to think it all out and lay it all out. We will let people take this stuff that's already been built and drop it directly into your Infusionsoft application. So if you join the group, we want to get you up to speed as quickly as possible. You get to use sort of everything we've already created, and then we want to get you in and helping us move forward. So for example, one of the things we're working on right now is creating a Mother's Day, sequence. And we just did this as a group. So what we have is 2 ways that people are going to get this, either off of our existing list or off of Facebook. And our existing list is going to get an email inviting them to join our Facebook contest, okay? So that's basically how this works, is they get dumped down here, and then people on Facebook can also enter the contest. It then goes into either a list people activity, because if you're from the list, you're going to get one set of activities, or Facebook contest entries. So if you filled out on Facebook, you're going to get an email that says, yay, thank you so very much for entering our Facebook competition. By the way, did you happen to notice that we're selling gift certificates for Mother's Day? And then that happens immediately. And then we wait until May 10th at 12 p.m. and we send them a reminder that says, by the way, we've got a gift certificate for Mother's Day. You're going to want to get on board for this. Our email list people, what happens is on the 23rd of April, they're going to get an email that says, enter to win this drawing on Facebook. We're giving away, I think we're giving away 3 free cleanings. I forget the details. If they don't enter on 5/6, we then send them another one that says, enter to win. And by the way, buy our stuff. If they still don't buy a gift certificate on the 10th, we send them a final email that says, hey, please buy our stuff. And what we did as a group is we got together and not only developed this, but we also shared the copy editing costs. So 11 of us agreed to share the cost of 6 letters. So we paid on average about $9 each for it. And this, I am really crashing every application known to the world. Now I've managed to crash Google. Is the letter that we wrote, for example, for buy our stuff. All right. And it isn't going to load either. I promise, guys, I really do have good technology that normally behaves. But basically what we have is a letter that was written, the 6 mothers that you want to buy a Mother's Day gift certificate for. Obviously your own mother, she was in labor for 22 hours giving birth to you. As she's told you over the years, it's time to repay the favor. We have another letter, another one that says, the mother of your own children. We've got another one that says, you know, why not give it to your sister? She, you know, she's a mom too. Another one says, for yourself, you're a mom, you deserve some time off. So we wrote these 6 letters, actually I guess there's, 6 letters with a copy editor professionally. They're great letters, and because we did it as a group, we only spent about $9 each, which is pretty neat. So, okay, I've officially crashed Infusionsoft. Oh well. You kind of grasp how Infusionsoft works, and how it goes through that whole employee relationship. Well, we've now kind of decided as a team that our current project is we want to take that same Infusionsoft functionality and point it at our employees, because employees are just as big a problem with us as getting clients. So we've created this process where the first thing we do is do lead capture. We want to get leads for employees off of whether it's a Craigslist ad, referral from a friend, and we want to educate them about the company. So when they fill out that Craigslist ad, they're going to get an email back that says, thank you so much for applying. Here's some information about why we are such a fantastic place to work, and here's our application form to fill out. Then they fill out that application form. And Infusionsoft has some pretty basic if-then functionality. So we've gone in and then built a filter that says, if you do not have a driver's license, send them to the rejection letter. If they do have a driver's license and they don't have a criminal record and they can work 40 hours a week, move them to the next step. If any of those things are not true, then they get an automated email that says, thank you so much for applying for the position. Unfortunately, you don't qualify for the position that we currently have. So the screened people then get assigned to somebody in your office to call them and schedule an interview. You obviously have to schedule the interview in person and actually do the interview in person. Infusionsoft hasn't eliminated that step for us. But you can then mark the people in Infusionsoft with what's called a tag, whether or not they're a good candidate or a bad candidate. And they'll get an email back that says, I am sorry you didn't get the job, but please apply again in the future, or I'm sorry you didn't get the job, and don't encourage them to reapply. Now, what's great about tagging them as good candidates or bad candidates is I'm going to show you a testimonial of this in a few minutes, but one of our people has caught on to this and sent out an email to people who applied for the job in the past, and either she didn't hire them at the time because she had a better candidate, or maybe they applied in October and it wasn't a good time of year. Well, she emailed 101 people that had applied for the job and she'd marked as good candidates. 16 of them opened the email and 5 scheduled interviews. When you think about how difficult it is for us to actually find good employees, think of how powerful it is to be able to send an email out to all of the people that ever applied for a job when you lost all those pieces of paper in the past and have 5 people show up for an interview in 2 days. That's pretty cool. We also haven't done this yet, but we're working on it. Just like you want to onboard a client and you want to send them an information packet and welcome to your company, we want to do the same thing with our employees. By law, we want to make sure that they're exposed to our OSHA training materials. I can send that to them through email to Infusionsoft, and remember how I showed you that I could see that Ms. McTighe actually opened my email? I will now have a record that that employee not only got the OSHA safety training email, but opened it and clicked on the link. So now I know that she did all that. I also can do the same thing with my employee manuals. I can prove that an employee manual was sent to this person and that they opened the email. And also all of the other things you may want to do. Liz Trotter is one of the people who's using this, and those of you who know Liz know that she's very creative. So Liz is talking about all sorts of things. She's like, oh, and then every 2 weeks I can send them a new motivational email and things like that. So she's got all these ideas of how she wants to bring folks on board. And then you can automate the ongoing training. You're supposed to do an OSHA training once a year. One of the ways you could potentially do that is automate it through Infusionsoft, so once again they get it. If there are certain things that you want to make sure everyone is updated on every 3 to 6 months, maybe policies and procedures, they can get an automated email from Infusionsoft that says, here's some policies and procedures you're going to want to abide by. So these are a couple testimonials of people that are using the software. The first one, as you read, says, as of right now, March 15th, we're plus 51.5 points for the year. Last year, we ended up plus 54.5 points for the whole year. And she's giving total credit for that to Infusionsoft because the only thing she changed is she started to use Infusionsoft. Now, for those of you that don't know the whole point systems thing, this is something that we talk about a lot at ISE. We created a very simple, or I created a while ago, a very simple system that's become pretty standard within the folks we work with. And that is whenever anyone books service, we give them a point value. If they do monthly service, they're 1 point because we clean them once a month. If they're biweekly service, they're 2 points because we clean them twice a month. If they're weekly service, they're 4 points because we clean them 4 times a month. We then keep a running tally. Every time you cancel service, I lose those points. Every time you add service, I gain those points. So when someone says they're up 54 points for the year, what that means is they have 54 more reoccurring monthly appointments than they did the year before. This particular person charges about $100 a month per visit, So to be up 54 points for the year means she booked $65,000 of net new revenue last year. And because we have recurring revenue, that's a great thing, because you don't only get the $65,000 this year, you get it next year. So that was pretty good. But with Infusionsoft, the rate she's going this year, she's going to book $270,000 of net recurring revenue. So she's going to be up about $200,000 in revenue this year versus last year, or not even that, $270,000 this year versus last year, but $200,000 more than if she would have left things the same. And because it's recurring revenue, she's not only going to hopefully get that this one time, but the next time and the next time and the next time. And I think you guys can kind of grasp where that's coming from, because if we can automate this process, then all of those steps that normally get dropped don't get dropped. So another testimonial, and this is the one I told you about earlier, is, and this all comes off our Facebook group. We go onto Facebook and basically share what we've learned, and basically said, you know, I sorted through 501 emails that I got since August. 101 of them I decided were good applicants, and I emailed them. I'm growing like crazy. I can't keep up. 5 of the 16 people have requested interviews, and from now on, whenever she gets an applicant in, she's going to look at it and tag it as Infusionsoft, good or bad, and every time she needs employees from now on, she's going to email all of those people who applied for a job and says, we're now hiring, would you like an interview? And I forgot, one of the great things about the Infusionsoft process that we're creating for the employee side is one of the things that drives me crazy is when I schedule interviews and people don't show up. Because I will schedule 30-minute interviews, 15 of them, and 5 people show up. And my whole day is booked with people not showing up. What we've done with Infusionsoft, and that's why it says requested an interview, is when someone applies for a job, we shoot them an email that says, thank you so very much for applying for a job. Here are various interview times. Please tell me what time you want to book. What we've discovered with that is something relatively interesting. When a lot of people, as we know, fill out applications online, and often it's not because they actually want the job. Sometimes they're required because of unemployment rules. They have to apply to X many jobs per year. Sometimes it's because their spouse is harassing them that they need to get a job. But at the end of the day, they really don't want to work for us. They're just filling out the application because somebody's making them do it. When you call them back and get them on the phone and say, hey, this is Derek with my maid service. I want to schedule an interview with you. They're not going to tell you they don't actually want the job, so they're going to schedule the interview and just not show up. What we've discovered is when we have them schedule the interview online and we send them an email that says, hey, would you like to schedule an interview? They actually show up. So when you call someone and you put them on the spot, they don't want to tell you on the phone that they're a lazy bum and they don't actually want to work for you. They were forced by somebody to apply, but they really don't want the job. But when you send them an email that says, here are 6 available times for an interview, please pick one, and you're not putting them on the spot, they actually show up for the interview. Our interview no-show rates for the people who've been doing this have gone from, 50 to 60% no-shows to like 10%. Still 1 out of 10 don't make it. They get lost. Something crazy happens in their life. But we're not having half of the applicants not even show up for the interviews. So that's some of the cool stuff that we're figuring out in Infusionsoft. So now when you fill out that request online, I don't immediately just call you back. So I imagine I have a couple questions so far. What do we got so far, Cece?
What we've got, the questions I've gotten so far have to do with how Infusionsoft interacts with existing maid service software such as Made Easy or Thoughtful Systems or Service CEO. Are there redundancies? Are there integrations? How does that work?
Sure. There are currently no out-of-the-box integrations to any of the programs that are out there. One of the things we're working on as a group is working on some interfaces to do that. I don't know about Thoughtful Systems because we don't have that many people using it, but both Service CEO and Made Easy have what's called an API, which is basically a format that they spit out from their application where the data can be picked up and used by someone else. Infusionsoft also has an API to pull that data back into it. There is time, effort, and money that needs to be spent to make those 2 files match up. So think about it basically as you have a massive Excel spreadsheet, and the API that Made Easy spits out may have customer name as column A, and Infusionsoft wants customer name to be in column B. You have to write a little piece of software that takes those pieces of information and lines them up and pulls them into one application into another. So the programs have the ability to talk to each other, but we have not, as of yet, spent the time and money to build it. So it is not currently integrating with other applications, no. So, but the ability is there. We've been quoted it'd be about $2,000 to do it. Now, I use Service CEO, and my opinion is Service CEO does not do a very good job with the whole lead management process. So I have never used Service CEO for quoting. I've never used Service CEO for keeping in touch with my clients. So I have, in my case, it's not redundant. Now, what we do want to do is eventually pull those things like date of next service into Infusionsoft because you could do some really cool things with it. For example, if I have your date of last service in Infusionsoft, I could send you a follow-up to ask you how your cleaning went the day before. I could also do some things like write some Infusionsoft email queries that say things like email anyone who has not requested, who has not been serviced in the last 3 months this email. But it's not there yet. So now I'm sure you guys also have a question about price, but any other questions on functionality first?
Not so far. They've all revolved around the interfaces.
Okay. Let me get to that then. Rather than boring you guys, and by the way, please don't hold it against Infusionsoft that it won't load on my computer. For some strange reason, Google won't load either, and I'm pretty sure Google's a pretty stable platform. Something weird's going on with my computer. Welcome to the world of doing demos. Rather than bore you guys and throw up a PowerPoint slide, Infusionsoft does put their pricing right there on their website. So I'm going to just pull it up so you can see it, infusionsoft.com/pricing. Nothing too weird or strange there. Number of users, you can typically keep the number of users relatively low, and I can bore you on the details on how to do this, but remember that Infusionsoft can send emails out of the system. So, for example, I've got 4 people in my office, but only 2 of us are in Infusionsoft. My salesperson gets emailed things that says, call this person, and then she clicks on a link to fill out a web form when she does. So she does not actually work with Infusionsoft, but she updates it by filling out things on my website and by answering emails. So anyway, the point is, I would be surprised if any of you need more than two users and have more than 5,000 contacts and would send more than 500,000 emails a month. The price is $99 a month, and it does have what's called a Kickstart package. The Kickstart package is $2,000, and it's a 30-day Kickstart package. What that includes is 6 hours of one-on-one coaching, and I think this has changed a little bit since I came on board, but I think they actually build a couple of events for you. There's actually someone from Infusionsoft who is going to join the call here at the end, and he could probably answer that better than I can. But that is not just an upfront cost like if you were buying software and having to pay $2,000 for the software and then $100 a month to use it. It comes with 6 hours of meetings with someone over the phone where you're actually getting into the application with a coach and building it, because one of the things I'm going to tell you on this is it's a lot like, in some ways, using Service CEO or Made Easy. It's completely worth the time and effort, but it takes time to build it. And having a coach who actually helps you get it up and running is a relatively big deal. With all of that, you get content management, landing pages, web monitoring, email. You can use Infusionsoft instead of Constant Contact. So one of the things you can do as part of this is ditch your Constant Contact. You get CRM. Lead scoring and routing is pretty difficult for me to talk about at a top level. But once again, one of the really cool things about Infusionsoft is it keeps track of every time anyone does anything with you. So if I've got a monthly newsletter and somebody opens that newsletter and clicks on a link, Infusionsoft is going to note that. If they go to my website and they download my 5 Signs of a Good Cleaning Service form, Infusionsoft is going to note that. And you can apply a point value to each of those activities, and then Infusionsoft will basically score the leads and tell you who your hottest leads are, who is opening every single email that you send them and downloading things from your website. It's really pretty neat. Now, on these higher 2 packages, you do get a shopping cart and order forms. That can be pretty useful if you're doing things like, for example, selling gift certificates online. One of the great things about Infusionsoft, if you go with the more premium packages, is it is all built in from beginning to end. And then there are demos on here. Like I said, unfortunately, my application isn't behaving, but you guys can watch the demos and see exactly how it works. And then there's also affiliate programs. Most of us don't do affiliate programs, but if you were going to do an affiliate program, and by which I mean, you know, your typical Barnes & Noble and Amazon thing, where someone gets some percentage of money to refer somebody to your website. So that's basically how the pricing works. And I know a lot of people get a little freaked out about the $2,000 up front. But like I said, that does come with one-on-one coaching. And I haven't figured out my exact ROI yet, which is bad of me. But I'm very confident this software is paying for itself. $200 a month is not a lot of money, particularly when I have, as I showed you guys earlier, a customer example from today where I was actually able to get somebody to book service that I am confident would have never booked service in my old system. When you're selling a service at $100 to $200 a visit a month, and those people stick with you for 2 or 3 years, it's pretty easy to justify that money if you actually get the clients. And if you know your own work processes and can see how automating it would work, I think it makes sense to you how it would. So a few tips for some success is that someone who's been through it. Start the process when you have time. That is a 30-day consulting package, so you cannot stretch it out over months and months, and I would encourage you not to do it. There is an upfront investment in time, but it will save you so much time and money on the back end that it's worth it. I also encourage you to ask your consultant to record all the meetings and send you a link, because you're going to forget. You're going to be on these 1-hour consulting calls, and they're going to be showing you things, and you're going to think it's easy, and then you're going to go back later to do it yourself, and you're going to forget what they showed you. So have them record them and send you links so that you can use them later. Get your hands on the software between your lessons. It's sort of like when you were in high school and you'd sit in math class. They would show it to you in class, and it would seem easy, but until you sat down and did some problem sets, it never really sticks. Same thing here. When you have a meeting with your consultant, immediately get in the software and mess around with it, because otherwise by the time you meet with the consultant again, you're going to forget what you covered the last time. My final piece of advice is perfection is your enemy. Start simple and learn. The great thing about Infusionsoft is you can change it on the fly and make changes. The bad part about Infusionsoft is you can design some heinously complex systems where you make things, you try to design the world's greatest sales cycle in the world. And if you do that, it is going to take you forever to get live. I would encourage you to start with very specific activities. And for most of us, that is someone fills out a quote request on my website, I want to get them a quote. So what is your perfect sales cycle of contacting them? Once again, mine is 4 phone calls, 3 emails, and a letter in the mail. Yours may be different, and that's okay if yours is different, but you want to automate that process, just that one little piece. Then once you're happy with that lead to quote form, then say, all right, now that I've quoted somebody, what would I like Infusionsoft to do? And I showed you the example earlier of somebody who had a whole quote system of, all right, I quoted you, I want to email you these multiple times. If you try to do that all at once, it's going to overwhelm you, and you're going to be learning, and you're not going to figure it out. So start small, get small wins, because that frees up more time and more money. So once you get a small win up front, you get more stuff coming down the road. And the other thing I'd say is there is a ton of information on the Infusionsoft website. They've got tons of webinars for you to look at. They've got an application called Grow Social, which integrates in with Facebook and does some really cool stuff, including Facebook contests. They've got another application called Customer Hub, which I am just now starting to play with, but the basic idea is it's a membership-type website. Like I said, I've only started to look at it, so I'm probably not even explaining it very well. There are many, many apps and plugins, a lot of which are completely free, that make this run even better. There's a company that has some email templates you can load for free. There are items that will make Infusionsoft integrate with your Microsoft Outlook application. I just saw a new app that came out that makes it so people can schedule through Infusionsoft. Now, it's a simple schedule program. It's designed for one person, but I expect over time that will probably become a more complicated scheduling feature, which for people like us that do a lot of scheduling is a pretty big deal. So I ran through a whole bunch of stuff. I got about 10 minutes left. This is a software application I can talk about for days, and unfortunately my demo crashed on me. So any questions so far?
Okay. Before I get started with those, I'll remind folks that if you put your cursor in the top center of your computer monitor, you'll get a small drop-down, and there will be a chat option, and that's the method for sending us questions. Got a couple of questions to clarify the kind of the payment and pricing structure. I think Derek's talked about 3 parts, and they're not necessarily associated. The first part is, and Derek certainly correct me if I've gotten things confused.
Sure.
The first part is the $2,000 payment to set things up, and that's where you work with a private consultant through Infusionsoft to help you build your campaigns. Then Infusionsoft charges an ongoing monthly fee, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then you also mentioned Infusionsoft Warriors. Are they affiliated formally with Infusionsoft?
No, Infusionsoft Warriors is actually a group that's been set up and hosted within ISE, our group. We, as a group, host a webinar every other week for free. The only thing that we have is some participation requirements. You can't come in and take all of our stuff and not give something back to the group. The idea is that, first of all, you got to be non-compete. If you're in Cincinnati, Ohio, I'm sorry, you're not welcome. I'm a little uncomfortable sharing all of my greatest secrets with people who are in my town. But there's, I believe, 11 of us right now, and if you're in an area where there's not somebody already, you can join the group, and basically we share and work together as a group. We get together every other week and do a webinar like this one and build those campaigns. And once again, I wish my computer was cooperating so I could show you how easy it is to build campaigns. All you do is drag and drop little boxes around to make it work. And on the webinar, we sit there and say, all right, so what would the perfect activity look like for us? When should we call this Mother's Day person? So, for example, this Mother's Day campaign that you see up here was built on that Infusionsoft Warriors call. We got together as a group and designed this campaign on a call. We brainstormed how the Facebook contest would work. We brainstormed what we would want those emails to look like. And then we went and hired a copywriter as a group and split the cost of 6 letters 11 ways. So instead of paying a copywriter $100 for 6 emails, which felt a little rich, for $9, I get 6 professionally written, very witty emails that are a lot better than I would have come up with on my own. So there's no cost to the Infusionsoft Warriors group. That is a group that we as ISE are doing. Sorry to click around. I'm trying to find the pricing screen. So that's completely free. And one of the things that looks like is we have a private Facebook group where we share and reapply advice. Some of those testimonials you saw came off of that Facebook group. And we also will share things that have worked, that haven't worked. We also ask for technical support. Every now and again you break your application and you're not sure what to do about it. Another great thing about Infusionsoft that I meant to mention and forgot is their technical support has always been amazing. I have been able to call Infusionsoft and within 5 minutes always get a live human calling me back on the phone. So in addition to that Kickstarter package, if you're 2 months in, it's not like you're left high and dry. You can call them and say, hey, I don't know what's going on, but people aren't moving through my campaign as I expected. Or I don't know what's going on, but these emails are coming out jarbled. And they'll get in there with you, pull up your Infusionsoft in a meeting, and help you tweak it. So it's not like you can do it for hours and hours like you can with the one-on-one coaching. But unlike a lot of places when you have a software bug and you have to pay extra or they tell you to go look at their fact page, with Infusionsoft I've always been able to get somebody on the phone. And I haven't talked much about Infusionsoft, the company, because I don't have much time. 1 hour is not as much time as I would want. But Infusionsoft is all about small businesses. Their entire reason for being is to help small businesses grow. People like us in our size. So their software, their technical support, and everything is designed for us. Procter & Gamble does not use Infusionsoft. They use things like Siebel, things that are bigger and fancier, and you have 10,000 computer consultants in the company who work on. Infusionsoft is designed for small companies. They live, breathe, and die small companies, which I can't explain that until you interact with them. But read their website, look at their examples. Everything about it is about small companies and working with small companies. So, all right, next question.
We've got a quiet group today. I'm not getting any questions from them.
Okay. Well, we may unmute here in just a second then, but I did want to run through a couple more things before I do that. We do have a couple more upcoming education events. We always do these the first Wednesday of each month, and in May it happens to be the 1st of May. We are doing a webinar on severe weather in your business. we're covering a couple things, one of which is disaster recovery, but we also get a lot of questions about what do you do about simple things like snow days. How do you handle it? What are your policies? This isn't just going to be our opinion. We're pulling in some experts. One of the things that's different about our business is we do have some legal liabilities. If you force your people out to drive in the snow and they get in an accident and you've made them go out that day, you have some legal liability. Where when I used to work at P&G had no liability. If I wrecked my car on the way onto the office, not my problem. But driving is considered part of our people's jobs, so that opens up some interesting challenges of what happens when it's a snow day. I feel comfortable driving my car, but is it okay to maybe make an employee who tells me she freaks out in the snow to drive? What happens if she does freak out and gets in an accident? And I'm the guy who made her come to work when she said she can't drive in the snow. That's an interesting question. So we're going to be exploring that on that webinar. Then in June, we're going to swing back to tools of the trade. We're going to cover a couple of customer feedback applications. We're going to talk about Customer Thermometer and SurveyMonkey. Both of these are applications that people in our industry use to make sure that their clients are happy after the fact. How did the service go? How did everything work out? Now, I can tell you that I've actually built this customer feedback functionality into my Infusionsoft application. But if you don't want to make the investment in Infusionsoft, maybe you're too small, maybe you feel it's too complicated for you right now, these are some basically surveying applications that allow you to survey your customers, see where they are with you and their service, and if there's anything they would want to have changed. And I can tell you it's a game changer when you do it right. I have a quality score. I get feedback from about 65% of my clients every single cleaning. Because I do it electronically, and I rank all of my employees from top to bottom. If you're my bottom cleaner, you have 2 months to stop being my bottom cleaner, or you're not going to work for me anymore, and I'm going to replace you. And I'm continuously basically trying to increase the quality score of my company. So either you improve or you leave. So it's worked great for me. I can't explain in this 10 seconds, but that's the whole point of the call of how to use those tools. And once again, you can use Infusionsoft for this, but you can also do it as a standalone application. Now, for more information, there's a couple things you can do here. One of which is you can always contact CC at mail@ISE today, but also we do have someone from Infusionsoft who's agreed to work with us, and that's his email and and his phone number, and he can probably explain Infusionsoft better than I can. And unlike me, he probably has a higher quality internet connection and can show you guys a little bit better of what it does, what it doesn't do. He did tell me over the call that he's going to take $100, or not $100, $500 off for anyone who's interested in getting Infusionsoft and wants off that startup package for anyone who wants to do it in the next week, I believe. And is he actually on the call now, CC, or I didn't know if he ever actually joined?
He is, and I have just unmuted DJ if you'd like to say something.
DJ, we lose you? Oh, well. Well, if he comes back, we had him on the call because he wanted to see what we were doing and answer any questions anyone may have. We have a couple minutes left because of some of the problems we had. I didn't get to dig into my software quite as much as I'd hoped. If you guys are anywhere where there's background noise, please, please, please mute your phone because we're going to unmute for a second here and see if we can give a chance for voice questions. So, CC, you want to give it a shot?
I sure will. This is always a little tricky.
Yeah, if we have background noise, we'll mute it, but there's only 12 of you guys, so we're hoping it'll work today. All right,
like
everyone should be unmuted. So if anyone has any questions, now is your final chance to ask.
Hey, can you guys hear me? This is DJ.
I can hear you, DJ. Hey.
Okay, excellent. I couldn't figure out what was going on, but hey, thanks for doing the presentation today. That was amazing. I love to hear testimonials and love to see things like that. Absolutely, I talked to Derek. I said, hey, you know, because people took some time out of their day, as small business owners are always busy. I'm actually convinced they're nocturnal, but you know, I said, hey, let's give them something, $500, and I'd be off of that Kickstart package. You know, I've already got a code approved by management here, so I'd be ecstatic to help you guys out. Contact me at that number or email me to set up a time for us to chat. I'll be happy to answer any further questions and, you know, see what we can do to help you guys out and set you guys up.
All right, we have any questions from anyone, or am I just that good?
Derek, you know you're just that good. Come on.
It was a great presentation.
I have a question for you. Somebody's noted your area code 480 and asked if you're in Arizona.
Yep, I'm right here in Chandler, Arizona.
Okay, I think there's somebody who wants to talk to you. I'll get you guys together after the webinar.
All right, sounds good.
Great. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, let us know. Like I said, I can't encourage you enough either to email DJ or to go to the Infusionsoft website. As you saw when I was on that Infusionsoft website, there are buttons all over the place that have demos, features, information for more. They've even got some webinars that don't actually sell Infusionsoft. They just talk about best practices on how often you should be contacting somebody over the internet if you want to get feedback. And I would encourage you to actually watch those, because once again, a lot of people in our industry kind of do this wrong. I hear all the time, even from people who are well respected, that, you know, I don't even call internet leads back anymore because they're just bogus. People who fill out a form online don't actually want to quote. They do want to quote. You just have to treat them differently. And Infusionsoft has whole webinars where they teach you about that and talk about it. And, you know, you don't have to take my word for it. I showed you guys at the very beginning of this call a client who requested a quote on the 22nd. That is now, what, over a week and a half ago. And a week and a half later, she finally booked. But I had to reach out to her 8 separate times before it happened. And by the way, when she actually finally booked is when I gave her the option to get a quote online without actually talking to someone. So guess what? Internet people will actually quote with you and that will actually book with you. You may just have to go where they are instead of trying to make them come where you are. And Infusionsoft has great webinars about that. So even if you're not ready to buy the software, I encourage you to watch the webinars, see what you can create and use in your own business, and see that it works. So.
Sounds awesome, Derek. Thank you. DJ, thank you for being with us today as well.
Anytime. Thank you.